Oh, Hades, you little spitfire. Oh, Boa Hancock, you will be mine soon. Konnichiwa, Mira-san! Ow! Nande? Well, that escalated quickly. That was for Harem End, you fucking douche nugget! Harem End? What? You actually read that crap? Look, dude, I'm getting drenched. I'm coming in. Hold on. Where have you been? Where does it look like I've been? I honestly have no starting off point here. Did you go to a 3D showing of the Smurfs at a Leprechaun sex dungeon? And he ended up torturing you? That's all I got. Now, granted, you got about half of that right, but no, the truth is I've been on many exciting adventures this past month. I've fallen in love, went to far-off unknown locations, slain a dragon or two, even managed to save 50% of my car insurance by switching over to Geico. It's been a truly life-altering occasion. See this face here? This is me totally believing every single thing you just told me. Oh, okay, sure, and you guys have just been what? Hanging out in my studio for the past 5 weeks reading Harem End? Yeah, that seems like a rollicking good time, I'm sure. Oh, man, don't look at me. I'm not the one that freaking read it. I didn't even know what those idiots were doing. Oh, but place your bets on who got to bury Rad Number 1's corpse in the backyard. Here's my tell. I have a royal flush. Actually, speaking of, I don't really care for either of you idiots right now. Fuck it. I'm gonna go watch some Breaking Bad. Law-teching out, bitches. Okay, look, I'd be happy to tell you guys all my exciting adventures, maybe in a cover story or two. But I gotta go to bed because Bleach is coming out on Wednesday. I need to get some rest for this shit. Oh, really? So you're not gonna make a video about the Bleach news that's occurred in the past 5 weeks? Say what now? Oh, you know, the dagger. The fuck's a dagger? Well, you see... Okay, so basically they've been releasing little mini info points for the past 5 weeks restating stuff that we already knew. Yeah, pretty much it. I mean, there's a couple snippets in there of stuff that might allude to new information, but honestly, it's just pretty much retreading stuff we already knew. Okay, then it's stuff we already knew. I'm going to bed. Okay, screw it. Give me my tie. Why? What happened to yours? Burned by King Arthur. He existed? Yeah, I know. Big surprise to me, too. Let's just do this. Hey everybody, it's Techie101 here, and we finally made it. The end of the Bleach hiatus, probably the longest I've ever had to deal with ever since I started this show, and I'm almost up to 100 chapter reviews. So, yeah, it's been a long time since like July 17th, I think was the last review, but it's ending tomorrow, September 4th, chapter 547 of Bleach will be released. Expect my review out tomorrow. I got nothing else going on. My schedule's wide open, so everything should go as planned, and I really hope Kubo's making it worth our while. He had all this time to prepare. I hope he put it to good use. We'll see where he takes it. I think it's going to be like a big cover page with, color and everything, so it's going to be a pretty good event. But in the meantime, I thought I'd try to review the Dagger chapters, and I say try to because there's really not much to review. As stated previously, the Dagger doesn't really drop any huge plot exposition bombs on us. It just kind of restates stuff that we already knew, just kind of a recap and get us back into the flow of things, which is what I'm trying to do here. There's 5 Dagger chapters, I guess. The first one is about the Von and Reich and the Quincy's. The second is about the Soul Society and about the forces there. The third is about the Third Force, which is pretty much like every other miscellaneous group that's out there, Fullbringers, Visors that are still in the world of the living, Ichigo's friends like Chad and Uryu, not Uryu, Orihime, what they're up to. And the fourth and the fifth Dagger are kind of like mysteries or kind of alluding to things that are to come, or mysteries that have arisen since the new 1,000-year Holy War arc has started. So let's start off with the first Dagger, Cruz Eins. I learned how to count to 10 in German in 6th grade, so I'm really happy I get to apply this skill here. Okay, so the first one's about the Von and Reich. This is the one we probably get the least amount of additional information. The Von den Reich is the enemy of the Soul Society. It's made up of Quincy's. We get a quick summary of the different Quincy abilities that they have. The Let's Steal and the Volt Standing, which are two completely... They describe them as two different abilities, but on two separate horizons. So, if you want to refer to that, maybe like you can look at the Volt Standing as kind of like the dark version of the Let's Steal. Like, it's on the same basic level. It's the same amount of power, except it's a little bit more refined or toned. The Let's Steal, for example, you can only use once, drains your power, it's one burnout technique. The Volt Standing King, you can go in and out of it seemingly at will, like as with Colonel Sanders Quincy, he used it against Shunsui and then immediately deactivated just like a quick burst of attack. Kurhei used it more prolonged, but he didn't seem any fatigue, or he didn't seem like he was worried about it running out of steam anytime soon. So we kind of look at it like that. There's the Medallion, or Medallize ability, which is able to steal the Bankai. There's the Blood Vein and Blood Artery abilities, which heighten your attack and defense respectively. You can't use both at the same time. And then there's the last ability, which is Scalavre, or the Quincy Slavery ability to control Reishi, or completely manipulate it to his will. The best way you could describe this is the way that Uryu went into Let's Steal in the Soul Society arc against Mayuri, how Mayuri noted that after going into this form, he was able to completely enslave Reishi. So just think of it this way, like this is like one of the reasons why Volt Standing is very similar to the Let's Steal, except this way it's much more refined and easier to use and more controlled. They also mentioned that weird pinwheel thing above the head that Kurhei got when he went into his Volt Standing, yeah, apparently that's like titular to every single Volt Standing. Like everybody apparently has this because they said the focal point of the Scalavre ability is that pinwheel thing. So, random fashion accessory nonetheless, it apparently has a use. So, I guess I can't make fun of it back when Kurhei went into his form. I think he had, like, I think I made a joke like, oh, beware my terrible pinwheel hat. I will kill you all! Apparently he can, so there's that. But, yeah, all told, though, the biggest real bombshell that we get in the entire first dagger is that Von den Reich is actually spelled with a W. It's still pronounced Von den Reich, but has a W. Okay, moving on. Next up is Dagger Crew Zwei. About the Soul Society, specifically about the Zero Squad and the mysteries that lie within them. They don't really go that all told into those mysteries, but you get it. Ichibi is apparently the head of the Zero Squad, Ichibi being Bald Mr. T, you know, the one that was training Renji and Rukia in the recent, not the recent chapter, but the one before that. He's apparently, there's no definite head, but I guess he's like the de facto leader, so does that mean he's been there the longest? Maybe his contribution to the Soul Society is the most important out of everybody's, more important than Zanpakuto, or, you know, the healing abilities that Korinji had. I'm not sure if that's what that indicates. It just kind of indicates him as the leader. It goes into comparisons between Shutara, the one really creepy person that wanted to rip off Renji's ding-dong. Yeah, apparently she, I'll get to that in a second, is very related to the Shutara scale, or the Sutara scale, which was mentioned, I think, in chapter 480 when the Quincy started making their attack, and we were in the Department of Research and Development, and someone mentioned the Sutara scale. So maybe it's kind of like I don't know. Oh, what's that scale in the Richter scale? That's it. Maybe that's like the Richter scale of Reishi, or something that can measure Reishi. Maybe that was their Sento. Maybe that was Sentomaru's contribution to the Soul Society, which gave her access into the Zero Squad. And I say he, she, because apparently this I don't think this is mentioned in the dagger itself. I think this was more just like the guy that translated it. Also, I have to bring that up too, is that these are not official translations. These are just some random, very kind people out there on the internet, on Bleach Asylum, that decided to translate these very rough images, and apparently some of them were very difficult to translate, so a lot of this might not be 100% accurate, just bear with me here. Anyway, going on Bleach Asylum, what it says, it's Sentomaru's name, they use the suffix or honorific Maru, which in Japanese usually designates a male. Looking at Sentomaru the first time, I originally thought it was a woman, but, you know, I've seen a lot of cross-dressing guys and androgynous people in anime and manga. I'm sure you've seen a plethora as well, so it could be a dude. Honestly, I'm not really going to care either way, ever since we found out about Kiryo's hidden, hot, sexy, thin form, so after that, I really don't honestly care about Sentomaru anymore. When she first showed up, I was just like, okay, it's just a bunch of weird-looking guys, a fat chick, and then we have this thin moon obsessed with genitalia arm lady. Okay, I guess she's the attractive female, but ever since the whole Kiryu thing, I really don't care about Sentomaru anymore. I am kind of intrigued, though, about whenever Ichigo's gonna head into her palace, though, after Nemaya's. I want to see what's gonna go on there, what the whole, like, making a new She-Hulk show for him is gonna, you know, what that's gonna mean, per se, because... well, we still don't know what happened with her and Renji and Rukia. And we know a little bit what happened with Renji, but even Rukia was a little bit mentally scarred by that. So, I don't know what the hell that guy, she, her, thing, it, weird fetish is. I really don't want to know at this moment. Also, last thing to mention with the second one, and it might be upsetting for some of you, but I kind of already figured this a while ago, is that it's pretty much confirmed right here that Izuru Kira has been confirmed dead. So, sorry anybody who had an Izuru Kira fandom, but was that a thing? Does he have a fandom? I'm pretty sure he probably had like 2, maybe 3 people that like him. But yeah, he's been officially classified as deceased, which anything that has a hole this big in your chest is pretty much going to die anyway. But I just you never know with Bleach, right? You know, we could have Unohana come along and do some ancient lost Tsunade healing method, and like he has his entire holes closed up. I don't freaking know, but he's confirmed dead, and this death has a huge impact on Rose apparently, but that's all they go into. So, Izuru Kira, sorry buddy, you'll be in my heart. Okay, moving on. So, Dagger Cruise Dry, the third. We have, basically, this is the miscellaneous group. Pretty much every other group that hasn't been mentioned before that's still going to play a major part in the battle against the Vandenreich and the Soul Society. So we have the Fullbringers, which are currently in the Soul Society. We have the, well, actually, the Fullbringers they mention are the ones in the Soul Society. We don't really get mention of Jackie or Yukio at all, which, you know, I really don't care much about Jackie. I really would like to see Yukio again. I mean, that'd be kind of cool if the battle ever moves to the living world at some point, and then, you know, the battle's going on, and all of a sudden Yukio just shows up. I mean, his powers are kind of helpful. I'm just saying they're not the strongest, but they could help out. You know, that I'm just saying, just for training purposes alone, they'd be insanely useful. But whatever. Moving on to talking about the 3 Fullbringers in the Soul Society: Tsukishima, Ginjo, and Gariko. Uehara's group that's currently in Hueco so Chad, Orihime, and the Visors that are currently stationed in the World of the Living. So, Uehara's group, they just kind of go on to say that Uehara is recruiting a bunch of Arrancar, as well as, you know, with Chad and Orihime there trying to basically set up like a third army or a force to go up against the Vandenreich. Uehara must have planned this out really well, though, because we have Uehara and Ichigo's group that goes to Hueco Mundo. Ichigo has to go to the Soul Society. Keep in mind, this all happens within the same day, and Uehara already sets up like a base of operations. Like, it's implied he has like shit handled in Hueco Mundo. Like, he's got everything set up. He was baking that weird Quincy pie thing in the last couple chapters we saw him, and he's already sent Chad and Orihime on to some like adventure around Hueco Mundo on some mission to this Ruins of Negal place, and meeting up with a bunch of random other Roncars. Of course, the mystery man that we first saw in chapter 500 14 months ago was alluded to as somebody that Uehara made a contract with, but of course his name Grimmjow is not mentioned. Kubo, look, I know what you're trying to do here, man, but the fandom has already figured out it's been fucking Grimmjow. I mean, it's not even a secret anymore. I mean, Ichigo's reaction to his voice and the way Uehara talked about him, I mean, it's freaking Grimmjow. Like, who else could it be? If it's somebody else aside from Grimmjow, and it actually makes sense for he or she to be there, I will send you a goddamn cupcake, alright? So, hold on to that. I hope you make my expectations. But otherwise, it's Grimmjow. You can tell us it's Grimmjow. It's fine. We're not going to be, like, blown out of the water here, alright? Anyway, what else? Okay, so that's pretty much all they go into about the Hueco Mundo. They don't really mention Nell at all, which Nell is there, too. I mean, I hope she gets back into her kick-ass adult form and, you know, takes on a Stern Ritter. I mean, she could take on a Stern Ritter or two, I'm sure. She's awesome. No mention of her, though, about that. Other than that, we have the Visors in the World of the Living. They don't really go into much detail there. They just kind of recap which Visors are left in the World of the Living. We have Hiyori, who Shinji apparently sent a message to Hiyori to deal with something. They mentioned the rifts in space that appeared. One time they appeared in like that one like alleyway that Hiyori sensed, and there was another one apparently in a very obscure panel that you can't even really see hardly, but I'll throw the image up there. That's apparently a rift in time, apparently. So there's that. That's pretty much all that's going on with the Visors. Alright, so moving on to the fourth dagger. Wait, Eins, Y, Dry. Veer. That's it, Veer. 4 is Veer. Such a freaking... I could go to Germany. I got this down. I know the first 5 numbers. I've got this. I speak fluent German. I can also sing a Nazi battle chant. Yeah, we had to learn that in class too. It was a weird cultural Abstein Oderstein. Okay, so Dagger Veer. We have basically Mystery and Truth. This is the big ones that actually come closest to showing us stuff that we might actually play a part and we might not have thought about. Okay, first up is the whole deal with the Shiba family and Kukaku. See, they go into detail here stating that Kukaku is the only one who can send the Zero Squad back up to the Soul Palace. Now, this only happened in one chapter, so I didn't really pay much attention to it, but we had the one chapter where the Zero Squad lands, picks up Ichigo, picks up Renji and Byakuya, all the weakened, all the wounded, and Ichigo's on plateau. They go immediately to Kukaku's house. Kukaku shoots them back up into the Soul Palace, and then Kukaku has that one simple statement like, I think Uncle will be sad. I think the Japanese term she used was Oji, which basically just means uncle. Ishin being, I don't know if that's like their literal uncle. We didn't really go into much detail exactly what the relation was, because we don't really know much more about the Shiba family other than Kaien, Kukaku, Ganju, and then now Ishin. That's pretty much it. But anyway, the thing that's talking about here is this is her responsibility to send them back up. Like, that's the reason she exists in the Soul Society, is to send the Zero Squad back up. Because you actually think about it, they stated that once they land, they need a way back up. And, well, they go immediately to Kukaku's house, and I just thought, oh, well, because Kukaku has the firework cannon, right? And I'm like, wait a second. That actually makes a lot of sense if the Zero Squad stationed her here just for that reason. And remember back when the Soul Society's arc was going on, and when they launched Ichigo and his company back into the Soul Society for the first time through the Cannonball, I think she stated something like, we'll use Flower Crane Cannon launch method number 2. Alright, launch method number 2. Well, doesn't that apply there's launch method number 1, that there's a default? And also, this might be referring to why she lost her arm, because they said the creation of the King's Key, you need to use an arm, or it's in your bones, so there's some relation to that. But just the idea of Kukaku's whole purpose there is related to the Zero Squad, that kind of blew my mind, because it really makes a lot of sense when you actually think about, why is this random lady just out in the middle of the woods with a giant firework cannon? Like, why does this happen? But it's Bleach, so you just go with it. But now it makes a lot of sense. Also could refer to why the Shiba family was a noble family to begin with, because her family was entrusted with this responsibility to return the Zero Squad to their palace should they ever need it. So makes a lot of sense when you really think about it. There's a little bit of mention here about Zangetsu and the truth behind Ichigo's sword, and if you want my opinion on that, go watch chapter 540 and 542 review, because I pretty much cover all the stuff in between those two. I also did a follow-up video, so I'm tired of talking about that because that was kind of a mind screw of a plot twist, but yeah, so they mentioned that a little bit here. So Dagger Funth, the last one, is all about Masaki and Ishin's backstory. So 3 major topics here. The correlation between Ichigo's Fullbring and because Masaki was attacked. We also talk about what exactly White or Shiro the Hollow was, and we also refer to the selection that Yuha Bach made in order to exterminate all the Quincy's, the unpure Quincy's, and return his power 9 years ago. So let's talk about the Fullbring thing really quick. Not a lot of stuff to mention here. We have Masaki, who was a pure Quincy at the time, who was attacked by White, or Shiro, who she used Blood Vein in order to protect herself against the major attack, so she didn't die, but her Ryatsu still got mixed with White's, and that ended up creating some kind of hollow hybrid that resulted in the hole opening up in her chest, and this could result in Ichigo gaining his Fullbring powers, because as the Fullbringers stated, they got their powers from their mothers who were attacked by hollows before they were born. Makes perfect sense. I'm cool with that. Are you cool with that? Good. Next up is exactly what the White or Shiro was, the Hollow, because they do a great point to highlight this in the Dagger, that what is this creature, because Aizen stated, or I think it was Tozen stated, that they had to create this thing using a Shinigami. Who was this Shinigami? Because Aizen's done this crap before. He's tried all these experiments 100 years ago, and most of them were failures. Then all of a sudden, he creates this Uber Jedi Hollow, which can fight on equal terms with a captain and manage to almost kill him. So there is probably, whichever Shinigami is that made this thing is going to be really important. I can't really think of any Shinigami off the top of my head that was mentioned in the past, but we haven't seen yet, or was seen in the Turn Back the Pendulum, but hasn't been seen since. I mean, my mind immediately jumped to Kaien, but we already know what happened with that. I mean, unless Kaien went with Metastasia back to Hueco Mundo, and Aizen experimented on it while Aranjiro was possessing Menastasia, but that just seems too complicated, so maybe it's another Shinigami. I really can't think of anybody else. Might have been the former captain of Squad 10, because didn't he die shortly before the Turn Back the Pendulum? But we don't know anything about that guy, so... or a girl, whatever that was, so I honestly don't know about that. So it's highlighting, though, that that's probably going to be a plot point later on, what exactly Shiro was. Finally, we have the Holy Selection. See, here's how it went, essentially. We have Misaki, who's a pure Quincy, because she can use Blood Vein. They mentioned that only Blood Vein and Blood Artery, all those skills are only selective of pure Quincy. So right there, kind of indicating why Uryu never displayed these abilities, never shown to know about these abilities, because his dad, Ryukin, might have been a pure Quincy, but his mother, Katagiri, was a unpure, like a mudblood Quincy, so that's maybe why he never even knew about these abilities. Or maybe he knew about them, he just never mentioned them because he didn't find the need to, because he didn't use them anyway. So we have that. We never really saw Ryukin in combat enough to even see if he could do it, but he probably could. I still want to find out about that damn Quincy armor. You better show what that stuff is again. I want Ryukin to get into this battle all decked out in like Iron Man Quincy armor, like pulling out like freaking dual crossbows, just by like, suck it, Von Reich! Ah! And then all of a sudden this giant, huge, like that ballista crossbow like they used in the medieval ages, he loads this up with a giant Ryatsu arrow, like the size of a freaking Mack truck, and he's just like, hasta la vista, Bach! Boom! End of series. Ryukin's the biggest badass on the planet. Screw you, Ichigo. It's probably not going to happen, though, isn't it? Huh. Anyway, though, following the attack by the Hollow, of course, Misaki got contaminated, and I guess Bach found her unfit or unclean now that she was contaminated, so that's why she was selected. Oh! Forgot about this whole mind mess, but basically, it was mentioned that Aizen created this Hollow, and apparently, the way I'm getting this is, the opposite of a Hollow is a human, and the opposite of a Shinigami is a Quincy. See, they just dropped this big plot change thing on us a couple of chapters ago, because I always assumed Hollows were the opposite of Shinigami, but whatever, it makes sense, kind of, sort of. So, when they created this Hollow, Shiro, and they expected it to attack a Shinigami, which was the opposite of... Wait, crap, hold on. Aizen was surprised because the Hollow attacked the Quincy, which means that the Hollow Shiro was exhibiting more of a Shinigami trait than a Hollow one. I think that's what I think that was the main point they were trying to get across here. I might be wrong on this, because they created a Hollow that acts like, that has like a more Shinigami tendencies or subconscious. This could all go back to the whole why Aizen wanted to create a Shinigami to begin with to gain access to the Soul Palace. I guess maybe that could refer to that. But I'm sure Shiro is not going to be the last of his kind that we're going to see. There was also mention of how exactly, you know, why there was also mention because there was also mention of Shiro being a striking resemblance to Ichigo's Vasto Lorde form he used against Ukiura. Like I said before, I think it's because the Hollow was the template for Ichigo's Hollow form, because the Hollow attacked Misaki, and then that image was kind of engraved in her soul. Actually, quite literally it was, because remember when Misaki was falling naked in like that black oblivion in her soul, apparently, and then we saw that image of White, which was like his face. That's, maybe like the template of Shiro embedded in her soul, which was transferred over to Ichigo, which is why whenever he assumed the full Hollow form, that's the image it took. So, maybe Aizen wanted to create something like that. Maybe Aizen's final goal was creating something like a Hollow Ichigo, like that weird thing inside Ichigo's soul, the inner Hollow. Maybe Aizen wanted to create that to begin with. Maybe that's the new species he was gunning for to begin with. But anyway, I've rambled enough about this. So those were all the Dagger chapters, or the major plot points that get brought up in the Dagger chapters. Hope you guys enjoyed the break, whatever you guys were doing. Maybe you read some new manga or something. I don't know. Leave me a comment below. I recommend you go back, maybe read the last couple chapters of Bleach just to kind of get a context of where we are right now. Just to see what's going on tomorrow. So I'll see you then. Techie 101 signing out. We have returned, ladies and gentlemen, and it shall be sweet.